Todos Bunsen here with the Good Morning Portugal Food, Wine and Fun Times Club, really. It's the Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, extended to include a little bit of food, hopefully. I've made a little bit of an effort along that front, not cooked anything, but grabbed some sushi. I want to bring more food in to the tastings. So let's talk about food as well as wine tonight and the fun times that arise when those two come together. Food and wine in good company. Talking of good company, I don't think Garvo's really just yet. He's been, I can hear him clanking around in the living room trying to find a bottle opener. We do have, however, first on the screen and eager to please and be here with you tonight, Terence and not Terence. Let's give him a nice big round of applause. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you?
Good evening. When did the quiz start?
Did I just say quiz?
Oh, sorry. I thought it was a quiz show. Oh. Damn, I'm going. Did we go to one room?
Wrong booking, dear boy.
This isn't a pub quiz.
Oh, could you stick around and maybe taste some wine with us?
Certainly. But
excellent.
Is there any questions with it?
I think yes. I do have a video, and I know that Linda has a little sort of mini presentation. So yeah, I'm sure we can come up with a few questions for you.
All right. Definitely, okay. We'll be here.
All right, and are you both well? It's been warm, I suspect.
We are, Carl, and yourself, you're well?
Yeah, very good, very good. It's been hot over here. We've had a good amount of breeze in the last few weeks. Absent today, it felt like. And for you in central Portugal, getting up near 40?
For us, this is our method of cooling down. I don't know what he's doing, but for me... Keep the sun off. It's it's got a nice bit of cool water on, and so if I do this every now and then,
yeah,
it stops me sweating profusely. And
you're such a pro.
Yeah. As for
mine, keeps the sun off.
Thank you. Yes, Ben, thank you very much for that. I think we've got some ideas for some Good Morning Portugal Wine Club merch in that case. So we'll get those embroidered up. Thank you very much.
It's like a bit of merch.
For the time being, chaps, stand by. Because we're going to bring the stars of the show onto the screen. We've got others who are joining us tonight, I'm so glad to say as well. But here they are. Not
hey.
Garvo and Linda, who are leading the charge tonight, charging the glasses, that is, this evening, with this very fine Altano Biologico Organic Rosé from the makers in the Douro, Symington/Altano. How are you both?
Fine, thank you.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm not related to these two on top of the screen there at all whatsoever. Not with that sort of behaviour.
Hi, Unc.
Okay. However, what method of cooling down are you two using? Because I know you're in the same part of town, same part of the country. It's got to be hot over there, right? What, 35 today?
Oh no, in the shade it was 41.3.
No way.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How you coping with that?
Now we want to know like how the weather goes and temperatures. That means out in the sun it's going to be plus 50 at least.
My goodness. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, I bet you're glad to be indoors drinking a bit of chilled rosé in that case.
Well, yeah, that's the bonus, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, looking forward to what led you to choose this one. Let's get the other wine ninjas on the screen now. Look who's here, everybody! Penny Altano!
Yay!
Isn't that fantastic to see? Take that off the screen there, Penny.
I don't know how to.
Oh, okay. Well, let's leave it on there then. I don't know how that got there. Was that there from the last time you were on?
No, that was a new one.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, lovely to see you. Do you have rosé to share and sample with us tonight?
I do. Not the same as you. And there we go. I've been trying to read it and to photograph it to look at it. I can't read the damn thing at all.
Check you out. Though. Could you just hold it up one more time? Because it is a Portuguese rosé. Very good. It's now.
There we go.
The Tour de Ferro. Very good. Thank you very much for making the effort tonight. Superb. Lovely to see you. We'll come back and chat with you some more after we've introduced. There's quite a lot of family connections tonight. A few people related to each other. It's proper Devonian night tonight. We've got Henry and Nina joining us as well. There they are. Now, the signal is brilliant, but they need to be here on the screen because you've got to see their view. I might have to mute them up from time to time because there's a little bit of wind as well. Henry, how are you? And can we have a look at that view? Look at that, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Fabulous.
Yeah, that is. If I give you the full screen there, Henry, you were at the Boa Vista on the road between São Martinho de Porto and Foz de Relio. So you're seeing that Atlantic sunset behind you. And look at this. They've got some
Oh yeah.
busy rosé. That seems appropriate for that view there. So well done, Henry and Nina. About to pop the cork over there on the Atlantic coast. So back to Garvo and Linda. That's everybody who's tasting tonight. Garvo, Linda, what made you choose this rosé? I don't think this would have happened 2 or 3 years ago, would it?
Not to me. Linda probably wouldn't, but I've shifted my wine taste quite a lot. So
yeah, I want to talk to you about that. But
I like rosé.
okay.
The fact that we've done some other organic wines recently, a red and a white, I thought we'd sort of like cover the rosé side of it, because quite a lot of ladies like rosé. So
okay, excellent. And I'm just my electric corkscrew is just stalled in the bottle, so I'm not quite sure what to do about that now. But that's my problem, not yours.
Are you sure that's the corkscrew you got there?
Oh, I see. Anne Summers, it says on it. No, you're quite right. I don't know what to do now. Maybe you have to send that back to customer service to Anne Summers in the UK. So we're looking at, as you quite rightly say there, Linda, we have been sampling Biologico organic wines, haven't we, here in Portugal?
Yes.
Very good they've been too. A couple of whites last time. Why are we continuing with that, and why up to the Douro region for this particular one?
Well, this particular rosé is a new kid on the block.
Oh.
It was actually vinified in 2021, so it's a new blend for Altano, and they sort of they had a good year in 2021 in the Douro. Apparently, because of the altitude, they had a very cool summer. Everywhere else in Europe was really hot. So they had a cool summer, which meant that the grapes sort of like matured very, very slowly. And so they were able to get the best from that particular year. So they decided to try a rosé.
Very good.
So this particular wine is made from Tinta Roige, Tinta Barocca, and Tinta Cow, I think it's called. Which, strangely enough, these particular blends of grapes, the vines are only ever found in Portugal. So they're indigenous to Portugal. Right, so the vines are planted on steeply terraced hillsides on well-draining schist soils, and that gives it a sort of a sort of crunchy acidity. That's what it says in the tasting note. So I'm presuming that's where they get that from, and.
You like me, you can't read your own writing.
Yes.
I guess
Nubian, while you're finding your place there, Linda, Nubian who says people love rosé. Hee. I only had one good one though in Portugal, the one that starts with M. I think we know which one that is, don't we? Matheus, I think probably, and that has to be super cold and enjoyed in context. I think not necessarily or intrinsically a beauty, as I suspect this might be. So, Nubianette, thank you for being here. Lots of other people tuned in tonight, so do let us know who you are and where you are. It'll be lovely to make your acquaintance. So do shout out. And are you a red, white, rosé fan, or all of the above? And what are you drinking tonight? So do let us know. So how are you doing there, Linda? I've got the website up of
Yes,
and the Altano section.
So this just sort of like this particular page just sort of lists the temperature it should be drunk at, the people that actually did the blend, and I think it might get. I can't actually see it from here.
It is pretty small on that.
It gives.
I'm very happy to read it out here.
Yes, if you can, because we're blind to that one.
Yeah, okay. Well, as you said, and I'm also going to translate to English to make it a little bit easier as well. This is the Altano Rosé Biologico, a wine that combines a fresh aroma and an elegant taste, made from organic grapes from the Val de Villarissa. It is a rosé wine with an appealing color and a slight intensity. a perfect companion for conversation on the terrace. So we're having a virtual conversation on the terrace tonight. Consumption ready for immediate consumption. It will be best appreciated up to a year after the harvest. So it's a green new wine, isn't it? Served between 10 and 12 degrees centigrade. I imagine more of the flavor is going to be unlocked as it comes to room temperature. And as you said before, the grape varieties, Tinto Roriz, 70% of the grapes, 20% are Tinto Barocca, and 10% Tinto Cal, the dog red and native species of Portugal. Winemakers, the man himself, Charles Symington, and Pedro Correia and Hugo Almeida. 3 winemakers, and the little motif used for the winemakers is a hooter, a nose there rather than a tongue, which is quite telling, I think, isn't it? Let's bring Henry and Nina back onto the screen as well. I think having a little bit of trouble on the Atlantic coast with their signal, but here they are. So yeah, back to you then, Linda.
Okay, so Altano have 112 hectares of organic vineyards, and all the work in the vineyard is done by hand.
So no machines at all?
No, it's all done by hand. And because they have a lot of rainfall during the winter and long hot summers, it means that the vineyard treatments, i.e. for mold and stuff like that, they have minimum intervention. So as far as they can handle it, it's all done by hand, no machinery, and they try not to use any chemicals whatsoever. When they actually pick the grapes, they use what they call a Delta Oscillis Distemmer machine,
I've seen one of those.
which actually it shakes the grapes from side to side, and they then transfer the grapes in on a sort of pulley machine, and they drop the grapes into the fermentation vats, which actually is the way they crush the grapes. So that there's hardly any handling of the grapes. It's all done sort of like by machine and into the vat and crushed. Now, there is one interesting fact about the Douro. It has quite low yields for the grapes. There's about 3,600 kilograms per hectare compared to 12,000 kilograms from Chile and 16,500 kilograms from Australia. So compared to Chile and Australia, it's a very low yield per hectare.
That's quite a big difference, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yes. Now I've got some facts about Symingtons, which is sort of like the Altano belongs to the Symingtons group. Excuse me. And on the 20th of June this year, Symingtons were the first company in Portugal to attain the Portuguese Sustainable Wine Growing Certification. So that's the first in the country. They are also a B Corporation, which is given to those companies that have social and environmental performances, transparency and legal accountancy. And they also, for the last 11 years, Symingtons have donated an ambulance to support underprivileged children in the Douro. So
that is some lovely background about the company, and interestingly to me, and maybe Norman, who might be tuned in, watching his stuff traveling to Bulgaria at the moment, as he wishes, of course. Altano wine is produced by the Symington family, as you say, Linda, of Scottish, English, and Portuguese origin, and one of the main producers of port wine in the Douro for 5 generations. So they've been here a long time. And if you look at their website, there's all this history of how the Scots came, and Scots and English came to be in the north of Portugal and are producing port. And I think that's where they started. And now they've diversified it into all of the rest of these wonderful expressions of winemaking. And now with a particular regard for the environment and rewilding. I've got a little video, if you don't mind me showing that. a little bit later on after we've done a bit of tasting and let it go down a bit and then come back and talk some more and do a bit of scoring. But they really are into the rewilding, aren't they? And being, you know, a sustainable biological organic company is all part of what they're doing. And how great to see after 5 generations that they are continuing to innovate, continuing to love what they do, and are in love with the landscape and wanting to be in synergy and balance with the landscape as well. So well done, the Symingtons. And thanks for choosing this, Linda, and bringing this to our attention. So should we do that? Should we go to the bottle now, as it were, and have a little bit of a sip? Terence and not Terence, have you got the actual wine in front of you? Have you got a substitute?
It's just in the wings coming in.
Very good.
Just show the label just as proof. There we go. That we wish to. You've got to prove it.
That's the one. Sorry, I was trying to zoom into you there, Terence, and not Terence. Let's do that again.
The lighting's a bit harsh.
There you go. Yeah, we can see that. We can see that. Absolutely. Penny has one from the Dow, which is one I've not seen before. Lovely, beautiful color there, though. That's the wonderful thing about rosé. It does have a beautiful color. And Henry and Nina have a fizzy, a rosé bruto. So let's go with the Austins upstairs, I think. Garvo and Linda, lead us through the first sip of this, if you will, please.
Well, I think Linda's already had her first sip. She was
Linda. Right.
No messing straight in. I mean, I was going to look at the collar and, you know, the smell, but no, straight in there, straight down the chute.
I think it's got a lovely colour. It's just sort of a hint of strawberry, I think. Very, very
pale pink, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's even beyond salmon pink. It's gone, I don't know what you call that. It's a very, very pale peachy pink. Smell. It's quite a dry, fruity, strawberry sort of twang to it, maybe. Raspberry, strawberry.
Possibly.
Some fruit buried smell.
Well, I've got the tasting notes here.
Go on then, lay them on me.
So it's supposed to have saline fragrances.
It's salty then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Traces of jasmine and lychee with a hint of strawberry.
Okay.
Citric and crunchy acidity, ending with hints of gooseberry, rhubarb, and green tea.
It's more like a dessert, isn't it?
Tea, yes. Before you even said that, I got tea for some reason.
You got the tea, did you?
I got tea early on. But I'm thinking of black tea, not green tea. It was something that as I first took it into Mahuta, I was thinking, for some reason, tea. I'm getting a aroma of tea there. What about yours, Penny?
Oh, it's much stronger than I thought it was going to be. It's really full-bodied, actually, for a rosé. It's quite intense. It's very cherry, raspberry. It's a little bit sweet on an aftertaste, a bit too sweet for me, really. But it's really got packed full of flavour, actually.
Excellent. And for you, Terence and not Terence, elsewhere in the Austin complex, how is it going down for you?
Well, we're debating. It's a hot debate between the two of us here. I think all I can get from the bouquets is sort of flowers and pasture. I don't get all the tea and all that kind of business.
I was getting apricots and a bit of rhubarb.
Oh, we could make a dessert.
We could.
Yeah, we could make rhubarb tea for afterwards. And the taste, I was a bit sort of taken aback when I first swilled some. Is that it was quite bitter and slightly sour.
I don't get the bitterness so much, but the sourness, yes, I do. Soury sweet.
Yeah,
in a disappointing way, Terence. Surprising.
Yeah, I can't say it's one of my favourites so far.
Oh, yikes! Okay.
Oh,
Okay, thank you, Henry and Nina. How is the fizz going down? That's the job for me.
Tough. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
It's not windy in here. We've come back in the camper.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, it'd be lovely to see that view again. But yeah, fair play. Thank you for shielding us from your wind.
It's very nice. This is actually, funny enough, everything that you've spoke about your rosé, this fizzy one's the same, but fizzy. Just quite sharp, quite fruity, and that's about it.
Right.
Very fizzy.
Okay.
And nice. I haven't drunk wine for a long time, so.
Tell me about the context, because there you are looking at the Atlantic as the sun is going down. Have you got some nice snacks to go with that?
We have. We've got
What is
chicken
that?
rabbit or chicken baguette.
You're supposed to show it on the plate.
Oh, okay, sorry. You really want to see down here? Go. There we go.
Oh my word! That looks good. That does look very good. Lovely knees.
Thank you.
Very good. So a bit of chicken to go with the rosé.
With mushrooms.
Chicken
Very
with
good,
mushrooms.
Nina. Excellent,
Yeah.
Chef Nina.
All cooked in the camper van. Lovely job.
And I'm thinking that's why I was asking about context, because the whole vibe there, watching the sun go down on the
Oh, it's
Portuguese
lush.
coast, looking out over the Atlantic, chicken wraps cooked by yourselves on the move and with some fizzy rosé. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Stuff-
makes the
stuff
supermarket
tastes
own rosé taste amazing.
On a smaller piece of
Cheers
bread.
to you.
Cheers. Thank you, guys. It's
I
been,
hope you're having a
lovely.
fabulous break and mission over here. Wonderful.
Lovely, thank you.
Upstairs, downstairs, Austins. The upstairs. Let's go upstairs to Gary and Linda. What are you having with your wine there tonight?
We got some garlic chili prawns, which are really quite nice for this. Really quite nice.
Yeah. Okay. A quick news flash for you, Terence. If the wine is sour, sounds like the bottle is infected. It can be a little funky and effervescent, but sour would be wrong. Is it? I mean, is it like full on sour or a little sharp to the taste?
Give me a minute. It's going towards sour, yeah.
Mm.
For me, I mean, we're all different, okay?
Yeah.
We all taste things differently, and you know, because I'm saying it's sour, perhaps I just like sweet stuff. I don't know. But when I first drank it, it was a bit of a shock because it was, and it still is, quite sour and bitter.
And are you expecting a rosé to be like the rosés you first drank in your drinking career? Because they're syrupy and sweet, aren't they? Is this a bit of a shock from that?
Yeah, you know, it probably is. It's probably a lot more cultured than really I'm kind of like letting it be. But for me, you've got to counterbalance this because I'm not a great lover of white wines or even rosés. I tend to gravitate towards reds, and I suppose because there's a fair sugar content in them, and there is sugar in this, but it's very light and it's very crispy. But for me, it's just a bit sour.
So, are you having the terrace conversation they're talking about, or have you got some food there as well?
Well, I've got a banana and
a couple of limes.
So I've heard.
Later.
No, I wouldn't say we can do something creative with a banana and a couple of limes.
Well, that's up to you. I'm not making any comment on that at all. Well, no, we haven't got any nibbles.
Right, Terence's fruit salad, not for the faint-hearted. Okay, it looks as though this might be better paired with food rather than something you uncork and have a chat around. So far, it would appear.
Could be. I mean, I think food would go with that. I mean, I can see sort of seafood going with it. Perhaps tuna. Tuna's fairly sort of strong taste, and that would kind of, you know, fight against what I am perceiving as being a little bit bitter. What about you? Do you think it's?
It's interesting you said that. I was writing that in my notes. Not exactly on the tuna, but on the food topic. I don't think it's quite sour. It leaves a funny aftertaste as well. So I don't think pairing that with something strong would be the right approach. I think it would go well with a salad, something quite quaint and you know, a little
So
bit.
you'd knock tuna on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my personal opinion.
Yeah.
Only way to deal with it.
Again, you know, different people, different opinions, even though yours is wrong.
Ben, on that note, let me just change the topic before it gets eggy down there. When you said you were writing this down, do you have a journal of your tastings and boozing?
Just a bit of paper.
Oh, okay, but you haven't got an ongoing blog or journal or anything like that.
No, this all then gets written down into the actual journal.
Oh, okay. So you are keeping a record of the tastings. I love that. I wish I'd done the same. Okay.
He's making assiduous comments about what people say, right?
Yeah.
And then so you better watch it, everybody.
Oh, okay. And then we might see a book one day where none of the characters in this book represent people in real life, and it will just be ripping into us. Okay. Uncle Gary.
Yeah, I'm gonna urge you to do something now, right? Take a mouthful of wine, But when you take the wine in your mouth, just let the tip of your tongue sit in a little pool of it. In other words, hold it at the front of your mouth and do a little stir, because then you'll pick up all the sharper notes. And then if you swallow it and let it rush over the back of your tongue, then you'll get the mids, and then the obviously the finish.
That didn't really work very well for Penny there. Did you do what he said, Penny?
I did.
Okay. This is a cunning.
Acid on my tongue.
This is quite a cunning wine tasting move.
That's where you're going to get your high sharp notes, right? This bitterness is on about.
Right.
And then if you're washing it sort of over the middle and back of your tongue, then you're going to get the florals and the woods. Now it's bang on there, because lychee is one of the big flavors I can taste in this. And that's the peculiar taste, I think, lychee, because you wouldn't expect to find it in a wine, would you? Well, I wouldn't anyway.
No. Garvo, excellent a tactic and suggestion there. What I'd like to do now, as we become acclimatized to this brew, and as it becomes to a little bit more warmed in the Portuguese atmosphere, which is going to change it, of course. Let's go a bit deeper into this Symington's respect of the environment. And if I put their website back on the screen, which is a beautiful website, as you saw earlier on, they have this naturally wild bottle at the moment, which is in line with what you were saying, Linda, as well. And this one is to respect these. Actually, that is a wine box, isn't it? A beautifully made wine box on the right hand side. So there's a bottle of the Rewilding Edition 2018, but there also seems to be a bag in a rather tasteful container there with a sort of orange rope around it, with these with a nod towards our last wine, the Malcata, the Iberian Lynx, I think, and some of the other species that are being encouraged back into the wild in the north of Portugal in the Douro region. Symington's getting right into this now. Forgive me, the video I'm about to play is in Portuguese, and it is about Symington's connection with the rewilding project that's going on in the Douro. Hold on a minute, video. Part of the reason for showing this is the incredible landscape that you'll see up there in this, and some of these rather brilliant tactics they've got of recording wildlife moving about whilst they're encouraging biodiversity. The mics can stay on, so you feel free to shout out with your commentary over this as well. But I just wanted to really acknowledge Symington efforts in sustainability and rewilding up there in the beautiful north of Portugal. Check this out.
Estamos aqui nas Quintas do Vesúvio de Malhadas, no âmbito da parceria entre a Rewilding Portugal e a Symington. Hoje estamos a fazer monitorizações de primavera. Temos estado a fazer observação de aves e colocação de câmaras para fotoarmadilhagem.
Esta atividade está inserida nas metas 2025, que a Symington já lançou, e foca essencialmente na proteção dos ecossistemas, na promoção da biodiversidade.
Este é o primeiro ano deste trabalho de campo e o nosso objetivo é conhecer a biodiversidade que existe aqui nestas propriedades. No futuro, queremos continuar a fazer estas monitorizações para ver que diferenças é que vão surgindo, e também vamos implementar conjuntamente algumas ações de conservação de natureza.
E estamos a fazer mostragem de insetos com armadilhas coloridas e com procura ativa. As armadilhas coloridas são passivas, os insetos vão lá parar, e depois também fazemos procura ativa, que é procurar nos conjuntos vegetais, florais, aliás, pelos insetos.
That landscape, look at it.
E neste momento estamos a trabalhar no plano de monitorização dessa biodiversidade, usando aqui as zonas selvagens da Quinta do Vesúvio e de Val de Malhadas, para um objetivo futuro que será um plano de serviços dos ecossistemas, no sentido de promovermos e percebermos e potenciarmos todos esses serviços em prol da biodiversidade.
Hoje já tivemos alguns registros interessantes. Aqui atrás conseguimos confirmar que o abutre do Egito continua a reproduzir nestas fragas. Vimos também um casal de águia cobreira, avistámos um corso hoje de manhã. Portanto, temos já uma série de resultados que indicam que este é um local com uma biodiversidade muito interessante.
would have loved his job.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is the Symingtons, 5 generations. What's that? 100 years approximately.
Yeah.
And can you imagine when the Scots arrived in that landscape? It's like, whoa, it's like being back home, but with a warm summer. It's incredible, that place, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. And I would love to go see that river and that landscape. Have any of you been up there? Have you been through the Douro, the Austins?
No, we haven't had one up the Douro yet. No, that's still to be done.
It looks absolutely amazing, doesn't it? So amazing work that the Symingtons are doing there. We've got a few friends joining us tonight. Thank you very much for being here. I don't know what you've got. OLP has got the 19 Crimes Cali Red with Snoop Dogg on the label.
That's one of Norman's favourites. That's
Is
one
it?
of his, yes.
So are you supposed to smoke a big spliff with that as well?
Well, anything's possible with Norm.
Yeah, okay. No, I didn't mean because of Norm. I meant because of Snoop Dogg. Not with that. Wow, okay. Dougie's in. Evening, my wine-loving pals. I love good wine, says Nubianet. All the naturally occurring colours. I had a horrible blue one. Ew. Including orange wines. Yeah, we did taste an orange wine once upon a time, didn't we? The Macerator. No, what was it called? The one from the islands, I think.
Massanero, was it? Was a Massanero?
Macero with the
He was near the poster boy.
He was the pretty boy wine producer as well. The ladies all loved him, didn't they? And the orange wine that he'd made, Macchiata, possibly. So yeah, everyone's happy to see you, Doug. I hope you're continuing to heal and get well soon. Ashmil Yorish, my friend. Just found out the vineyard I went to in the Douro Quinta dos Castelares, their wines are also bio and all very good. This is something that came up last time. It's easier to grow the bio wines up in the Douro, isn't it? Because of the terroir, is it up there? It's a little bit easier to do organics.
Yeah.
Why was that?
Because I think it's because they get cooler winters, like the very rainy winters, and then it can be cooler during the summer.
Well, if you think that mold, which is grapevine's worst enemy, it's a good stable temperature that's humid and warm, doesn't it? Now, if you've got a temperature that's swinging from boiling hot down to freezing cold at night, then your mold is probably not going to get the ideal sort of environment to grow in, is it? So that's probably what they're working on, I would have thought.
Gotcha. So they're not using chemicals to fight the mold because of the growing conditions, and that makes it easier to grow a biological.
Yeah.
Very good. Bialbocht 63 is here. Good evening all. Hello. Who is that? And lychee apparently is quite a common flavour in white and rosé wines. And I did a Douro wine, olive oil, and boat tour. Definitely do it again. We'll take your recommendation on that, Nubina. We've got to do a Gumpers trip up to the Douro, haven't we? So, Penny, how's that going down? Your Dow, we've always said here, is a little bit risky. Can be very impressive, can be a little bit risky. What do you think?
Well, it's strange because it tastes exactly the way you're describing yours, everybody else. It's really, really weird, but it's just got a strange bitter taste to it, which, I mean, as I like dry wine, that's absolutely fine, but it is quite a strange bitter taste. It is like the aftertaste of cherries. Sometimes cherries can be quite bitter.
Yeah, okay.
It's going down okay.
And did I remember rightly from what you said before, not necessarily a fan of rosé, but willing to try it, and it's an interesting experience rather than something you'd have on a regular basis?
No, I do quite like rosé, but they do tend to be a bit sweet for me generally.
Okay.
This actually is quite nice after I got over the shock.
Right, and a lover of Italian wines. What's your favourite rosé from Italy then?
I don't know if I've ever had a rosé from Italy. No, I don't think I have.
Okay, all right. Penny, really, really good to see you again. Was that Henry there?
Yeah, so I was just going to say, Mum was saying about a cherry taste on the wine. We went to Obidos today, as you know, and we tried the traditional cherry liqueur that they serve there.
Did you like it?
Ginger.
It was lovely, actually. And I'm not a fan. That's it, yeah, ginger. And I'm not actually a fan of cherries to eat, but the liqueur was lovely. And it was served in a little chocolate.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, lovely.
Down afterwards. Yeah, very nice.
That is very eco, isn't it? All cups should be made
Yes,
out of
eco.
chocolate, apart from coffee and tea, obviously, for obvious reasons. I'm glad you enjoyed it. What did you make of Obidos? Tell us about your trip there.
Yeah, it was brilliant. We only saw obviously in the castle walls. We didn't really have a look around the newer part other than to go to the supermarket to try and find the wine, but we couldn't find it, so we got this. But yeah, no, I mean it was amazing. We took loads of photos, and I actually got the drone up as well from the car park that we were in. So I got the drone up to take a photo of the whole of the castellated part. So yeah,
fantastic. Oh, can we have that on the show in the morning?
Yeah, sure.
So
It's a
you
video actually. It's
phone
about
on
4 minutes
holiday.
long.
You didn't take me on holiday, but you took your drone.
Oh dear. Henry?
It's slightly lighter and less noisy.
Oh my word, that doesn't help, does it?
Sorry.
I can't wait to see that footage. It sounds like you liked Obidos. Were you fascinated by their attention to health and safety there, or lack of?
Yeah, there isn't any. Yeah, there isn't any.
Yeah, okay. Open staircases.
That's Portugal as a whole, really, isn't it? And that's that's something that I quite like about it. But yeah.
Yep. Use your common sense, even if you have had 5 cups of ginger wine.
Natural selection.
Yes.
Natural selection.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do a bit of scoring, obviously, and we tend to do that out of 5. Before we go there, and we remark on this, don't we? How we've changed, how our tastes have changed, how we've become educated in this process of doing a Good Morning Portugal Wine Club. And it occurred to me to ask you the question: have you changed as drinkers? Now, British drinkers are a special breed, aren't they? They drink to get bladdered. They drink to forget. They drink at the weekend. They drink until they fall over or get under the table, or it's not a pretty sight or a very proud quality necessarily. Contrast that with Portugal. People drink all day long. They have they might have a little snifter in the morning with their coffee. They might have a glass of wine with their lunch. They might definitely have a glass of wine with their dinner, and they might have a nightcap. No one gets out of hand. No one seems to get nasty. We're not in public anyway. And it's a very different contrast. So let's go to Gary and Linda. Have you changed from being binging drinkers to more Portuguese drinkers in your time here?
Dramatically so. I mean, probably I would have stuck pretty much to red wine and not sort of veered from that at all. But now I've expanded to enjoy a hell of a lot of white wine. And, me and rosés, I think to make a good rosé is the most difficult of all, because it can't be white and it can't be red. It's got to be something individual in between, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So my drinking habits have changed. Don't drink so much beer, probably drink more wine than I used to, but I enjoy it more. I'm searching for things in it. I'm looking at, I'm not just throwing it back as like something to quench thirst. I'm actually thinking, yes, that's really got this and it's got that type of. How about you?
Well, yeah, I think you do sort of like, you're tasting the wine now. Well, I am, and Gary probably is as well. Just sort of you would on the wine club, I'm sort of sipping it and trying to get the flavours, the smell. Whereas before, I probably would have just gone, oh, that's nice. I like that. I'll have a bit more of that. But now it's sort of like it's become a bit more grown up about the way I do drink.
Yeah.
And I would never drink white wine, but now I'm really into Portuguese white wines. I don't know whether it would be the same with other countries' white wines now, whether I'd expand my taste into that. But definitely, before I would probably have only stuck to reds, but now, in fact, I really like rosé wines because I like the contrast between the two. As regards this one, what John said about the taste, I'm not surprised that it got a sort of sour flavour, because it's got hints of gooseberry and rhubarb, and those fruits are actually quite sour and bitter. And green tea, that's quite a sharp.
It's funny you say that, because I've been sitting here now and the penny's dropped. If you've ever had a hibiscus tea or a rosehip tea, you get that strange tasting tannin, and it's that taste.
Isn't it?
So that's what the weird taste is. Whatever it is they put in is either hibiscus or rose hip or
It's
something
green
like that.
tea.
Well, some
Green
sort of tea,
tea,
but it's
yeah.
it's just like that twang you get in it.
Yeah, definitely. And that was all that was wrong with herbal tea for many decades, wasn't it? It's just the use
I
of
really like herbal tea now.
Yes,
And I
it's
think
funny how the
because,
taste have changed.
you know, I've expanded my taste buds, and now sort of like, whereas before I might have perhaps tried, you know, peach tea or something, but now hibiscus tea is really nice. It's got a strange flavour, but no.
I love it. So generally speaking, we've become more cultured, possibly, moving over to
Well, I wouldn't go
Portugal.
that far, but
Well,
All right, okay.
more grown up.
you probably
a little
not
way
really
along the spectrum. But, you know, it's that move, isn't it, away from the Viking and Anglo-Saxon approach to boozing and more into a Latin approach, I think. And maybe, I don't know what the Celts are like. I mean, if you think of the Irish, they like a good drink, don't they? But I think it's maybe more of a Latin lifestyle thing to be a bit more leisurely with the drinking rather than binging, as the Brits tend to do. Terence, I can see you're somewhat amused by this topic. Have your drinking habits changed since you've been in Portugal?
A little bit. I don't think I've really, when I was in the UK, was a binge drinker. I had my moments, but and I drank a fair amount of wine. I've always liked wine, even, you know, from being a kid, 6 years old. Dad's home, give us a drink, Dad. Yeah, what I like more about Portugal than anything is the kind of like the different, the way they've kept their own grapes, and they haven't traded them in, you know, for Shiraz or Pinot Noir. They've got a bunch of, I think it's between 300 and 400 grapes that they've kept pretty much to themselves, and I think that gives their wines a lot of special flavors. And the big underrated areas for me are like the Alentejo, Setúbal, and the Douro gets a lot of attention, but I'm not sure whether really I support it as being like the major wine producing region, because the more I drink of the stuff here, the more I'm you know, I'm kind of knocked out by all sorts of different tastes and characters. So it's a big fascination. There's a big breadth, and I think fair go to them. They've kept something which goes back thousands of years, you know.
Yeah.
And they've kept it within families, and they've kept it within villages and within small vineyards. And it's really, really, really something special.
Beautiful. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Terence. Ben, what do you think? I mean, you've been spared this whole sort of teenage initiation of binge drinking in the UK. I think. Have you made up for it being in Portugal, perhaps?
No comment.
It's just a teenage thing, then, the world over, perhaps.
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, probably.
Have you got a comment? Have you got a comment on that from your tender age? However, you know, about the difference between British and Portuguese drinking styles.
I've got a lot of British mates. We meet up a couple times every year, different destinations. Lisbon was one of them. I have to say, in younger rings, I think I can't see much difference. You know, we all enjoy a few shots. We'll enjoy drinking beer after beer after beer. I think the binge drinking culture is something that's become quite globalized.
Okay.
Yeah, it's common to Germany, Holland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Even
especially Germany.
Yeah, even the Portuguese. Yeah.
Despite the Generation Z straight edge idea of no drink, drugs, nothing, and just being very worthy and virtue signaling one's way into middle age. I'm glad to hear you having a great time as a teenager. Basically, I was a little bit worried about Generation Z, and I'm very glad to hear it. So yeah, well done. Have one on me. Penny, what about you? The Latin drinking approach, I think, is what we're talking about here. Italians are quite similar, I think, aren't they, to the Portuguese in it being an all-day thing and not getting out of hand necessarily?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was brought up on wine. You know, we had wine with our meals with water on top. I think I brought Henry up the same way. I think we switched it for lemonade then. But my family still like to drink, I have to say. So I think moved to the UK, they embraced some of that as well. But yeah, it was always wine with every meal, and it was great. I have to say though, I've switched a bit from Prosecco and Spumante to white wine the last year or so. I don't really know quite why. I think maybe because I've drunk the weight of Italy in bubbles, so I sort of moved on a lot to white wine at the moment.
Well, you're letting the industry recover a little bit.
Yes, I drunk it dry basically. So yeah, letting him recover absolutely. So yeah, I'm much into white wine at the moment, which I do love anyway, but I don't quite know why.
Excellent. And it looks like in the camper van with a very tasteful refurb in there. Now, this is a former minibus, isn't it, Henry? And you've done the work in there. You've made it look fantastic. Like you're on a set of a cooking program, basically. Are you opening the second bottle of the pink fizz?
Yes. I just spilt my entire glass, which is why I switched the camera off for a minute. I was taking a photo of the sunset and tipped a full glass of wine everywhere. So
I hate it when that happens. Oh, okay.
Yes.
And you're enjoying that by the sound of it, then the whole vibe.
I did send you the picture of the sunset, though, Carl.
Oh, good on you. Okay, I will show that in just a moment. We've got Nicole with us for Soldad Life. Hola, friends. What are we drinking? This is what we're drinking, Nicole. This is the Symington Altano brand, naturally aromatic Biologico organic rosé wine, as chosen by Linda, who we'll go back to now to start the scoring. Then, Linda, having tried this publicly with a few garlic prawns and spoken of it, what are your enduring thoughts and impressions about this?
I actually like the wine. I normally like a sweeter rosé, but I don't mind the sourness of this one. It doesn't leave a nasty taste in my mouth, so sort of it seems to be going down really easily, and it went lovely with the garlic prawns. And I think that it's probably it says in the tasting notes that it's excellent with sushi, fish, or as an aperitif, and I think that prawns and sushi, something like that, it's excellent with, because they complement each other really well.
That's what Carl's got.
And as an aperitif, yes, I could see that, because it gets your taste buds going, I think, because of the sourness of the wine. It sort of like stimulates your taste buds. So I think I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Okay.
And that's basically as well, because I do like the Symington's ethics, and I like the way they conduct business. I think it's really, really good. And so that's sort of makes me think that, yes, I'll give it a slightly higher score, so 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, we are adding more and more context into this, aren't we? With what we know about the producers, and that is part of our marking now, which it never used to be. But yeah, definitely full marks to Symington's for what they're trying to do to preserve, stabilize, balance, and be in harmony with the environment. 4.5 from Linda, then, who suggested this wine tonight, the Altano Rosé organic. Gary.
Well, I haven't found anything to topple the Prosecco Rosé yet. No, I don't like sweet rosés. I like a sharper, crisper, probably a bit more along the white side of the balance of wines. This is an unusual one. I mean, it does have a very definite taste of its own, which it takes getting used to. It is very smooth. There's a minerality to it, and like you say, the way we mark things probably isn't the same as any other wine club would ever mark anything, because we take into the whole picture. So for me, it's going to be a difficult one. I would say a 4.
Okay, sorry, I haven't finished my mouthful there. I was hoping you were going to say more about that. 4
is not a bad mark, really. If you think about it, it's a very respectable mark out of 5. I'm not saying it's not. My benchmark is the Prosecco. There's a couple that have come close. Like we had a João Paris the other day, and that was a really, really nice wine. It was clean tasting. It was smooth. But this is a very different beast, and they probably just could not be compared. But in its own, it's individual, and I like that. I like something that says something to me. It's not unpleasant. So yeah, I think it's got to be worth a good 4.
Excellent. Do you like the taste of cobblers, Gary?
Only on a Saturday night after a few beers, probably.
Okay. Well, Linda, the OLP is wondering, do you think your wine you're tasting would go good with a fruit cobbler? The acidity of a fruit crumble, perhaps?
I'm not sure actually.
Maybe it's
whether
a
it
bit
would
too
go
sour
with
in its
fruit.
own right. Yeah, you want something a bit sweeter, don't you, by the time you've got to the cobblers?
How'd you get to the show us your cobblers?
Oh, come on, you two.
No, it's a good point. I mean, we've done a lot of research with this, with the dessert wines, and recently, my brother will tell you, we've had a lot of muscatel. And if you have muscatel with something sweet and fruity, you take a sip of the muscatel and you eat the fruit, the sugar balances, right? So you've got something similar, and what it does, the sugar cancels itself out, and you'll find the fruit in whatever you're eating just goes berserk. It just goes so dramatically over the top. So fruity. It's incredible. It should be tried. I mean, we as Brits, we don't really understand dessert wines, do we?
No.
But I'm starting to get the concept, and if you don't want it too sweet, just put it with a bit of soda or some ice, and you're good. But if you're going to eat it or drink traditionally, then sweet with sweet. I mean, if you had probably something like a white wine with something really sweet, it would be disastrous. So what you're trying to do is find something to balance out.
I don't think this is fruity enough to go with a fruit cobbler.
Yeah, I would agree. And isn't it interesting, the British approach to dessert wines, as in just keep drinking what you're already drinking and have a tiramisu with it or something along those lines. Yeah, that's great. So let's hear from Terence about his tips on enjoying possibly a moscatel or something sweet with your dessert. Terence.
Well, you must remember you're talking to a diabetic, which I can't really indulge in the full sweet wines because it's not that great for me. So really I should be set up to like the more sort of less sweet wines. I've got to be honest with this one. I'd like to say some complimentary things. I'm just not getting it. It's just not flying for me, and I think that's good because we're all different. Doesn't mean to say I'm right, doesn't mean to say I'm wrong, but just for me, this one, I'm really, really struggling. If you said to me, would you buy that again? No.
Wow.
I don't want to be unkind, but I'm listening to myself and I'm hearing these words, but that's just the way I'm feeling it. It's a little bit like an unruly child you really want to tell off. But you can't.
Oh, I should leave
because,
somebody else's child.
Yeah, basically. But that's just me, right? It doesn't mean to say that I'm right. It's just I'm giving you a truthful the way it's hitting me, right?
You know what? In Portugal, it's okay to tell off other people's children, I think, isn't it? It's like the children are quite collective here. So go ahead, give us your score.
Honestly, I'm gonna come back to my score. I'm gonna give it to Ben because I can't. I'm trying to be, weighing it up and thinking, am I being too unreasonable here? And I just need a moment just to think, am I being too unreasonable?
I won't get upset, John. Don't worry. You can say what you like. You can say what you think.
I
won't fall out with you.
We're just going to come and put your windows through this.
I know that you'll take it on the chin, and you're a good-humoured person. You're very sort of even-keeled, logical person, and you'll sail through it. And some people would get hurt, and I'd be in tears by now. Obviously, if it was my wine, I'll be on the border wanting to kill you. But what can I say? I'm going to pass it over to Ben and hope he'll give me some inspiration. So. What kind of score? What are your feelings about the wine?
Okay, no pressure then. I'd like to expand on a point that Linda made, which was the wine as an aperitif. Yes, I can see where you're coming from with the sourness and everything. It does tick those boxes for an aperitif. However, I think it has too much tanning. If you're going to have it before a meal, you don't want something that will leave a lot of flavour on your tongue, if that makes any sense. I found this one to be very particular. I can't really see it standing by itself, enjoying it alone, and I struggle to find something to pair it with. I disagree with the whole fish approach, personally. Even though it's recommended on the bottle, I just couldn't see it working myself. I wrote down here somewhere, if I can just find it. Salad, I thought would be an appropriate pairing with this. One with goat's cheese, walnuts, tomatoes, something of that variety. Because I can't see it standing by itself, but I could see it in a very particular scenario. I'm going to give it a 2.5. As far as biologic rosés go, I do believe there's better ones on the market, but it does hold its own in its very particular scenario.
That's good. That's good because, all right, it's biologic, yeah. So it deserves perhaps to be treated a bit more kindly, right? We really shouldn't say that, but they.
No, come on, we can't make allowances.
We look. I mean, with the Portuguese bit, and I noted down, they were focusing on the environment, into conservation. They were. It was rich biodiversity, very interesting, and they're kind of like working with nature, which is all laudable, which is all fantastic, and it's to be supported. However, if you're going to put your money on the table,
the wine's still got to be good, isn't it? You can't have that as an attenuating factor. That's a bonus, not something that should be taken into consideration like a past crime.
Yeah. I think he's sort of getting bang on with the 2.5 routine. But I don't want to be outdone by my son, so I'm going to go for a 2.
Well, in that case, I'm going for a 1.
I'm going for number 2. Ooh.
Okay. It's the acidity.
I'm sorry. No hard feelings, but at the end of the day,
we're so screwed for a bloody vineyard tour in the Douro now. We are finished, aren't we? Basically, with Symingtons, but fair enough.
No, look, what you've got to do is say, look, we're not having that idiot back on the show again because he's got no sense of taste. Look at his shirt for a start. Weigh it up.
Thank you. No, thank you for being honest. That's very important. Nunu is here. It's the wine cave, not the man cave, Nunu, with your big shouty greeting there. Good evening, everyone, from Nunu Mensch from Windsurance. Icy white wine for hot weather, says Nunu. I think this has been a good choice. You didn't know, of course, Linda, when you chose this, that it would be a hot evening. But I think Rose is a pretty good choice, isn't it? Pretty good.
Not as warm as this, anyway.
So I think it's a good choice for a warm evening. If I may, I will defer my scoring until we've heard from the wild cards of the evening. Penny with her Dow Rosé. How would you rank that, Penny? Can you hold it up to the screen again so we can see what it is? Well, she's got a wine bucket. How classy. Look, did you hear that, everyone?
Of course I have.
Well, there's not a lot of gun at that, Pen. I think this could be a not like.
Okay.
Well, it packs a punch, I have to say. This does pack a punch. It's quite a bitter punch, but I'd probably go with Ben, actually. I was struggling to work out my pairings. I kept thinking about something salty to begin with, and I was trying to think, what would it be? But I think I'd go with a fairly salty goat's cheese to go with this. So I concur, Ben. Not necessarily the salad bit, but definitely a salty goat's cheese with this. It's an unusual. I'm not sure it's wholly pleasant, to be honest. But it's wine. I'm enjoying it.
It's the worst review ever, isn't it? Not wholly pleasant. It's damned by faint praise.
I can say what I like because it's not Linda's wine. So.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And is it one of those down wines where we're thinking, okay, that's very Taoist, so to speak?
Yes,
it's like it's gone off the scale in a different direction.
Definitely.
They do, don't they?
It's very strange. Very strange.
Okay.
But as I say, it's wine. I'll drink it. I'm happy to drink it.
So out of 5?
3.
A 3 out of 5. I think the Dow region is the punk region of wine, isn't it? It's like, we don't care. We've made the wine. Don't care if you like it or not. It's done. It's in the bottle. It's in the supermarket. Please yourself. Yeah. That's the Dow wines. I did mute up the Austin household there, especially when Linda said to Gary, behave yourself.
I'm just going to say that I think I've had that wine, Penny, And
Oh,
it is
really?
quite sweet. It is quite syrupy. And it is a strange, bizarre taste, that one.
It's like this combination of bitter and sweet at the same
Yeah,
time.
you don't know whether to sort of
I know.
or drawl a bit.
They haven't managed to balance it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Penny, and thank you for going to the effort of finding a Portuguese wine in the UK and being here this evening. We really appreciate you being here. We are going to the TARDIS of a camper van. I mean, look at them. Normally in a camper van, people are bent over double, aren't they? Trying to squeeze past each other. There's pants hanging from the roof. There's dirty linen everywhere. These guys are living in luxury. But then again, their van is 50 feet long because I've had it in my driveway, so to speak. What do you make of the pink fizz?
What do you make of it?
It's okay.
It's the supermarket brand, isn't it? It's bottom shelf. Let's face it.
Yeah,
Pingo Dolce.
it's all we could find in there.
You can tell he's got a little bit of Italian in him. He's called Pingo Dolce for starters there. Can we see it on the screen, please, Henry?
That's actually on the screen.
There we go. So there it is. Pingo Dolce's own brand. It is the classic method of hand turning for $1.99 a bottle. So what do you make of it out of 5?
It pairs well with Pingo Dolce's cones, whatever that says as well.
Right. The little
It
hurricane.
needed some salt, like quite a lot of salt.
Okay, but it's a party starter, I'm getting the feeling.
It's fine. I'd
Yeah.
give it like a 1.5, 2. Yeah.
Seriously, that bad?
Yeah. It's just that it's not great.
It's quite effective at getting you drunk.
But effective, yes.
I
That's
don't know
what.
what. Somebody asked, didn't they, what the percentage is on them? So this
Yeah,
is 12%.
Okay, so you got 12 there. We got 13 on our main event tonight. That's the berries. Hello, berries. What's the alcohol content? That's one of the most important things. 13 on the Altano there, 13%. And I think we're all quite jolly, aren't we? So far now. So you're giving it 1.5, 2, the own brand Pink Fizz there.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
Henry quite likes it.
I'm not a wine connoisseur.
Quite acidic for me. It doesn't it has that, like, if you had too much of it, it just doesn't go. It just so.
And your favourite fizz and your favourite rosé, Nina. We'll ask you because you seem to be more the aficionado of the pairing there.
What in terms of like not this?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, what are your benchmarks for comparing it to? What's your favourite fizz,
I quite
for
like
example?
a French rosé.
Okay, and a French fizz as well, perhaps.
Yeah, and then
Okay.
a fizz. I don't know. I like Italian fizz. I like. So.
Okay, that's the mother-in-law's influence.
Not a supermarket brand. Not a
Yeah.
What?
That's my girl.
South African, actually.
New
To be
age.
controversial.
New World Wines.
Okay.
New World Wines, we love them.
Very interesting. We'll have a little bit of a lock-in and a chat after this. I'm going to give it a 4, personally. I don't want to ruin. Yeah, I don't want to ruin my chances of being invited by the Symingtons up to the Douro region for a boat tour, to which Terence will definitely not be invited. So I wanted to ask you, Gary, Pacheca rosé that you love. Which region is that from?
That's Douro. It's a Douro.
It's another Douro. Okay.
But you see, I like the slightly drier rosés. I mean, Linda likes the sweeter rosés, so we've got to find some happy medium. But I haven't quite found one to beat it yet. It's a couple come close,
Right.
but that for me, that is just a class act, really.
Okay, excellent stuff. So an interesting evening with this. Back to you then, to the Austins upstairs rather than downstairs. Your final summing up, please, Linda and Gary.
An enjoyable evening again.
Yeah.
It's really good to have a good spectrum of scores because rosés always tend to divide people. You know, they're one of those things. Oh, I'll never have a rosé, or I can't stand them, or I really love a rosé. There's very little in between, and that's shown up on the screen today. So that's kind of interesting. But never be scared of making a score because not everybody's the same as your man said up there. So okay by me.
Yeah, and I personally do like a rosé, and but I generally prefer a sweeter rosé. But I like the taste of this one because I think it's quite balanced, even though it's a little bit on the sour side. I like the flavour. So that's why I gave it such a high score. But well, I'm actually thinking I'm becoming a bit of a wino because I like white, rosé, red. There aren't many that I don't like.
Let's hope nobody makes purple wine.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'll probably drink that too.
Well, they do. They think Muscatel's purple, isn't it?
So yeah.
How many glasses tonight, Linda?
Pardon?
Well, yeah, that's the Linda benchmark, isn't it? How many glasses have you? Oh, okay.
Well, I've had half a bottle, so
Very good. Excellent stuff. Here is a rosé sunset.
Oh,
very lovely.
That is taken by Henry looking out over the Atlantic where they're parked up tonight. Can't be bad, can it? Drinking 1.99 fizz, parked up for the night in the camper.
Where is he, Carl? Where's he parked?
That's the Boa Vista site or car park between San Martino and Foz del Elio.
Okay.
You know the Atlantic road between the two there,
Yes,
which I'm sure
yes.
you've driven many a time, which in most countries, let's face it, would be developed. You'd feel self-conscious driving along there because of all the millionaires' homes. And here in Portugal, it's really modest, unassuming, and you're still welcome to drink a 1.99 pinga dose in a car park without anyone judging you.
Yeah, no judgment there.
How about that? I mean, that's a beautiful picture just as the sun's going down there.
It's a
My
beautiful place.
alternative, isn't it an amazing place? Cheers,
Sorry,
Henry.
we're just getting Cassius into bed, so we've got the camera off for a minute.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I couldn't find it at first. I had to drive around a few supermarkets. My other choice, which I was going to come to, was the Espadão, because we were talking about Espadão last time, weren't we? And they do a rosé too. That was $3.89, I think, in the supermarket.
I bet that's nice too, because
sure
we've had
it
the
is.
Monteveglia white and red, and they've both been very nice.
Haven't they just? And again, they are a company that takes their impact on the environment very seriously. You'll discover if you go look at the Learn About Portugal quiz tonight. They've won a is it a Robert Parker Emblem Award? There's a wine taster. I don't know if he's still around or not, but a legendary wine taster who took to heart the idea that if something's worth doing, it's worth doing to excess. And I think he applied that to wine tasting. And we've got the Robert Parker Green Emblem for Espadão, who are just like Symington. Shout out to Portuguese winemakers, you know, the companies that are taking the whole production process seriously in terms of their impact on the environment. So really special time to be here in Portugal in that regard. And just before we go into a lockdown situation, behind the scenes, a lock-in, I should say, rather than a lockdown. Anything? Is there anything anybody wants to say publicly before we conclude the live stream tonight? The Terence and the not Terence, starting with you.
Anything that we want to say? I mean, I think we've been a bit hard, but it's just the way it is. That's it. I'm not going to get invited to the Douro, and I've got to live with it.
He's got to live with that for the rest of his life. Terence, I do appreciate the conscientious struggle that's gone on there. And I do love the fact that honesty has won out over just, me being basically a corporate shill who doesn't want to ruin his chances with the corporation.
Look,
so shout out to you, mate.
In defense of yourself, okay? Yeah. And I'm not kind of like, you have to, you have all sorts of people watching the program. You can't be too controversial, and that has to be respected, being a sort of chairperson. Because if you were like, the MD sitting around the table, and you can't be too controversial, with respect, that I understand. I've got the latitude to be, a little bit that way, which is lovely. I'm feeling a bit guilty, but I just feel that it's just done nothing for me at all.
That is what I love about you, is that you're being honest, and you still feel a little bit guilty for being so. That is a beautiful quality in a man in this day and age. Let's get a room, shall we?
Why not? I could get lucky with anything, couldn't I?
I'm going to go and let his tyres down in his car.
Brilliant. Any concluding words from you, Penny?
I was just astounded by that Carl not being controversial.
Well, I like to think I have a special way of going about that. I like to be controversial in a way that people realise I've been controversial when I'm several miles away by the time the pennies drop, so to speak. So yes, Penny, thank you so much for joining us. We love it when you join us on the screen here from the old days, from the old guard of the GMP wine.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you.
Back. And actually, I was coming back, even though Henry and Nina are on. I was coming back anyway tonight. So.
Oh, it's been lovely to see you. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see all of you as well.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. We haven't had any thoughts yet about what we might do next month, but it always comes together. It always comes together in some way. So cheers, Penny. So last words then to our selectors of the evening, Gary and Linda.
Well, I'm happy that everybody's had their own opinion. I'm fine with that, John. You don't have to worry. There's no hard feelings. But it's nice to just review something that is different to the norm. And I think this is probably a little bit different to everything else that we've tried recently. So it's good. I think we should, broaden our horizons and try lots of different wines and not just stick to the ones that we like.
Yeah, cheers, Linda. So especially for you, Terence. And finally to Gary then.
What can I add? What you kind of said it there. What can I say, really? What can I add to that? Yeah, been lovely to see Penny again. Great to have you back. You're looking radiantly healthy and magnificent. And yeah, just please come back. Please come back.
Yeah, we'd like to see you next time.
Yeah,
please.
We have no ideas, do we, about the next wine? And so we're open to suggestions from the Good Morning Portugal Food, Wine and Fun Times group. Join us on Facebook. And I've really enjoyed tonight eating some sushi along with the wine. So I'd love it if we can move more and more in that direction of sharing what we're pairing, which rhymes and is almost a feature because of that. So thank you, everybody. We're going to have a little bit of a lock-in now. And if you want to join us, you know where to find me on WhatsApp. If you want to join us for a bit of a lock-in session, Dougie might like to join us and drop in a few inappropriate political comments as well.
He wouldn't.
He won't dare.
All right. So, thank you so much. And we'll see you again next month. Ciao, ciao. And bye for now.
Bye,
ciao, ciao.
Bye.